Welcome to Safe and Sound, sponsored by White Mountain Fire and Life Safety and Ladies Day LLC. Today on the show, we have Kirk Webb, the Community Risk Manager, and Captain Conrad Loney with the Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District. Welcome.
Good morning.
It's good to have you guys.
Glad to be here.
Yes, thanks for coming in. Now, it's November, and we thought that this would be a good time to talk about winterization.
Yep, it's that time of year. People are leaving our nice mountain weather because it's getting too cold for them, so they want to go down to the valley where it's warmer. And so we have issues of people that, maybe they don't know exactly how to winterize a home. So, just a few tips as far as how we perceive it as a fire district. A big one is, have they shut their water off? Because it does get cold up here, and if they don't have things set just right and their system drained in the house, then now you could have frozen pipes and a lot of water damage because of that. So
if you turn the water off, don't you have to have someone come in and blow out the lines?
That would be the best way to do it, and recommend using a licensed contractor or plumber that knows what they're doing. And there's lots of companies out there that'll come in and winterize your home. And don't just go with just one that you think might be good. Check around and get some pricing and different things like that. We got plenty of people up here willing to work. And they do a good job at it too. Because
it does get cold up here.
Yep.
Like negative. It has before.
It certainly can.
Yeah, which sucks. I remember one time I tried to get to work, and all the roads were frozen over, and cars couldn't really go anywhere. This was probably like maybe 8 years ago, but that was impressive. It was like a skating rink. Even I had to park my car, and I tried to walk to catch a ride, and I was walking, the whole time. So that was pretty trippy.
Yeah, fortunately, this last winter wasn't too terribly cold, but
wasn't much of a winter, was it?
No, I mean, we got 2 inches in Show Low, maybe.
Yeah.
The whole time.
It was more of a fall back to spring.
Yeah, but with our good monsoon, we've had a very good monsoon season. Maybe that might go into a very good winter season.
We're hoping.
So. Yeah, because it's the winter. It's actually the snow that helps with the drought.
Correct. Snowpack is what actually helps drought issues and for long sustainability. Yes.
So yeah, but back to winterization.
Yeah, winterization. I know. It's a lot of times you guys may be responding to calls with alarms going off. Is that an issue for you guys? Is it?
I mean, it happens occasionally during the winter season due to a variety of reasons.
There's one of the things with alarms going off, if it's not if you don't have if you're using an actual company that provides the alarm and it goes to them, there's typically somebody, a key holder. So it's nice if you're out of town and you have a key holder that can be able to respond to either reset the alarm, or the alarm company may be able to reset that alarm, from their main office. But if it's just going off and it's not a monitored system, well, now you may have an issue. That alarm may go off for days even. And we need to, at that point, we're going to look at it as slightly different. Usually get the police department to show up and
try to cut some wires. No.
Yeah, let them make sure it's safe, mm-hmm. And then we'll look to see, is there something, a health issue or a medical issue going on in there, or what's the case? Because we don't keep track of every single house in the district.
And who owns that house and who to call.
Right.
A lot of times dust can cause a smoke alarm or a fire alarm to activate inadvertently. So what typically happens is the alarm company will notify dispatch. Dispatch will notify us to come out and investigate. And if there's something obviously going on there that we can mitigate, then we would do so. But a lot of times we'll just go out and do a 360 on the house, make sure that there's no smoke, nothing obvious, and then we'll report that back to dispatch. Dispatch then reports that back to the alarm company, who can many times remotely reset the system.
No, good. And if not, what else is out there that maybe might be helpful to the fire departments and the police departments for these homeowners, especially if they're out of town?
Well, and here that brings up, because now these places are probably locked up, and we do have a program that we've started here. It's mainly designed to work with people that have medical issues, but we also can use it for other issues, and where if these houses are locked up, well, now if we don't have a key and there's something that looks like say we see smoke inside the building, our next option is either break the door down or a window and try to, so that we can make sure that nothing immediate is in danger inside there. Or we have a residential lockbox program, so you can contact the fire district and we can look at seeing if that's something that could be utilized in that situation.
And that helps us eliminate any unneeded damage caused to the resident's home.
Now, how protected is that key? I'm sure people kind of wonder, can anybody just access the key? I mean, where is that lockbox key located?
The key is located on all of our engines.
Okay.
So there's one on each engine.
Is it just hanging there?
Yeah, it's a universal key that's locked up. We have a special a lock on the engines themselves that require a key code or another key to access that.
Okay.
And not any person is issued these keys. We use the same similar, we call it the Knoxbox program for our commercial businesses and stuff. And it's a separate key, but same program. And we protect those keys as, that's a daily truck check, right?
Correct.
So every day, when there's a new crew coming on, that's one of the items that has to be checked off. Yeah, all the keys for our residential lockbox program and our commercial lockbox program, they're where they belong and they're secured and locked up.
Good. Good. So then, and the good thing about that is it's not just, for alarms, like you said, it's for mostly medical conditions. You need to get in there.
Correct.
Somebody can't get to the door. It's for commercial because, at 3 o'clock in the morning, are you really going to be able to get the owner of that facility there, which is very good as well. And it keeps their property or their doors from being broken and their windows, which helps in cost. Later accrued through damage.
Typical commercial doors, they're pretty expensive. I think they're at a minimum about $1,000 or more to replace.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take much damage to start adding up the dollars quickly.
Absolutely. Now, in winterizing, how we talked about the pipes, is there anything else that people need to winterize their home, or is it just mainly just the pipes?
And securing it, keeping it, everything, have an idea. In fact, as a loss prevention program, it's a good idea to have pictures of all of your items in your house. Because say your house gets broken into while you're not there. If you don't have a good recollection of everything that's in there, and I know there's no way I can remember everything that's in my house, but going through every year or maybe even every 6 months, taking new pictures and re-updating everything that you have, because the insurance is not going to replace things if you don't know what it is and what it resembled and what models, different things like that. They're not going to be willing to replace something just because you said it was there.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good to have.
So having proof of that's a good thing too. So even your secondary homes, things like that, primary homes, whatever the case may be, it's a good idea in general just to have a record of what's in your home.
And that carries over to the wildland season too.
Exactly, because if you lose your home to a fire, you
whether
need
it's
to be
wildland
able
or
to
structure.
Recreate what it was that you had in there for insurance to properly reimburse you, to be able to get back up and running as you were before the fire.
One of the things I would recommend too is prior to leaving your home for the winter, that's probably the best time to change your smoke alarm batteries.
Okay.
Because if you change it in, let's say, June, there's some potential for during the winter for those to start, the batteries to start getting low and then chirping and then having false alarm responses. So one of the things to do would be to change those batteries before you head off for the winter, and that way that gives you a little more leeway.
That's a good point. What do you guys think about like the gas the pilot lights and stuff. I mean, some people leave and they just leave it at a certain temperature to make sure that pipes don't thaw, and they're gone for 6 months. I mean, and they leave it like 55 maybe.
And that's something that, keeping some heat in there because it does get cold. That's there again. Are you taking a chance with, if the pilot goes out?
Yeah.
And that's where maybe it's a good idea knowing your neighbors and trusting somebody that can check on it if you can't physically check on it yourself. Having somebody, friends, family, whatever, that can check it for you every once in a while, because as things fail, or the nicer thing to be able to eliminate pilot lights is have a furnace that has electronic ignition, and then it's going. You don't have that issue of a pilot light at that point. So some of the newer appliances will have that type of ignition, and if it doesn't for whatever reason light, well, then you're not going to be just filling the space with gas. Where with a pilot light, can you potentially fill that space with gas? Yeah, you can if it goes out. But most of them, even the pilot light ones, will have some kind of a safety shut-off that will shut the gas off. If it's not staying lit, it's got a built-in device that will shut the gas off too. So it's relatively safe with that, but still being able to check it is a good idea.
Yeah, and as I think back of when I was a single female, if I had my own home and I was just by myself and the pilot light went off, I kind of really wouldn't know what to. I'd be a little nervous. Do I call somebody to come in here? Can I just light it? I mean, there's some people out there that don't really know what to do.
And one of the things that's nice with propane and natural gas both, they've got that odor that's added to the gas.
The rotten egg smell.
Mercaptan.
Yeah, exactly. So that way, if you smell that, don't flip on light switches, call a gas company, the propane company, they'll come out and they'll check and make sure, even call a fire district. We can set up things to be able to evacuate that gas, make sure they have gas detectors on the trucks.
And that's what you guys would come in? You guys would come into the house with detectors?
Yeah, we could come in with air monitoring devices and determine if there's a combustible environment. If there was, we'd evacuate, ventilate, and then call in, secure any utilities, gas, electric, and so forth, and have the gas company actually come in and do further investigation to clarify what the source is, since they're the experts on those types of devices.
So it's not just the smell. I mean, if you have a family who has they start to get like headaches and they're maybe a little flushed, and they don't have a carbon monoxide detector, you guys can go for that as well if you have a whole family feeling sick in their home.
Right. The monitors that we have, they measure 4 different things. They measure oxygen concentration in the atmosphere, combustibles, CO, the carbon monoxide that you're talking about that makes people have headaches, and if it can kill people if you have enough of it. And then hydrogen sulfide, which is another rotten egg smell that occurs from decomposing organic material.
Oh, so, really? That can be an issue.
Which can also be explosive.
Oh, yeah. Bad stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are kind of, and we look at those as our immediate health threats. Life and health. So those, and that's the ones we want to mitigate and make sure to, keep people safe. So.
And what do you guys think about wood burning stoves, the ashes, getting rid of those? I mean, do those play in during the winter a little bit more? People are a little bit more irresponsible with those. I mean, I can tell you, I know this girl one time, and the ashes had been in the wood burning stove for like 3 days. And so she took them out and she put them in the bucket and got busy, and then had to leave the house and came back, and the CO detector was going off like crazy, and they reignited. They were just smoldering, but it filled the house with some serious smoke, and she had to open up all the windows.
Well, I have a wood burning fireplace, and what I typically do is use a metal bucket container with a lid on it.
Okay.
Remove all of the ashes or charcoal or whatever from the fireplace. Cover it and set it outside, away from any other combustibles, for several days before either putting it in your garden, or making sure if it is definitely cool enough, putting it in the garbage can. But certainly making sure it's cool enough. We've been on calls before where people have put their still hot coals in their garbage can, their waste management can or whatever, and we get called, and all that's left is a puddle of green goo.
That sucks.
And most of the time those aren't something like that. It's not too dangerous, but you never know what people have in their garbage. You can have a lot of different combustibles that can put off some pretty noxious gases.
Well, and it's illegal to burn trash anyway.
Aerosol cans that can explode. We've been to a few house fires that they've had the little garbage can up against the garage, and it catches the garage on fire, and it can happen rather quickly. And so it's a good idea to make sure to use the metal cans with the lids, and
I need to get a lid.
Keep them there for weeks even. They are great to put on gardens. It puts nitrogen back in the ground. But we have even commercial businesses that use charcoal burning and stuff like that for cooking and whatnot. And we actually recommend to them use their big metal container and then douse it with water before, because we've had a few dumpster fires start from that kind of situation too, where they've just dumped them straight into the dumpster, and it's a common occurrence. But as we start looking at residential houses, and because one of the common things that starts happening this time of year is people starting to use their wood stoves again, is have you cleaned your chimney? Chimney fires are very common. In fact, I would say that there's a lot of people out there that probably have had a chimney fire and never even knew it. This last year, we probably had several very devastating fires caused because of chimney fires.
Oh, wow.
And because your chimney, it's in an area that you don't see. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have it inspected and cleaned by somebody that knows what they're doing, hopefully a licensed professional, and I've even seen some people that may even have a camera that they can send all the way up and down that chimney chase. Because then what they're looking for is that metal piping getting fatigued in there? Is it starting to break down? Because metal, over time, if it gets heated up too much, it starts distorting and warping, and then it can cause an opening that then gets, and most of your chimney pipe is a triple wall, what they call. So you've got 3 different layers of metal. But if you keep having very, very hot fires, which is not the best way to have a fire, and having too light of a fire is not good either. You need to have a good happy medium on your fire, because that's where creosote, the stuff that gets on the inside of the piping, is created by inefficient burning. And so and then it coats, or you're using wood that hasn't been seasoned properly, and it's still maybe slightly wet, and that causes that creosote to start building up, and that creosote is highly flammable. So once it reaches a certain temperature, it can actually have a very explosive nature, and a rapid fire can ensue, and that's where you even have flames shooting out the top of the chimney, like 10, 15 feet out.
Jeez Louise.
So, and I've heard people describe it as, it sounds like a freight train going off, and going in through my house and whatnot. So, but it's.
What would they do if that was happening to somebody's home? I mean, right then and there, call 911 and leave the home?
That's a great start.
Yeah. Don't try to get your garden hose and get up there and.
Right.
And
well, one of the first things that people can do is making sure that they have their fireplaces and their chimneys cleaned at least once a year, and then more than that, depending on how often they use, how much they're using their fireplace. But in the case that, for example, you get some smoke coming back into the house, a lot of times that can happen from the flue not being cleaned properly or often enough. Sometimes the wind picks up and it can push the smoke back into the house. One of the best things you can do is ventilate, open up some doors and windows, and leave the house. Okay, and then if it persists, call us in and we can take a look at it. A lot of times people just have their damper in the wrong position. Now every fireplace and stove has a little bit different mechanism to do that, but there's basically, you can choke it down or allow it to more or less oxygen to the fire.
My husband says the damper's just the way he checks the smoke
Right.
detectors.
So a lot of times what happens, a lot of calls that we get at the beginning of the season in the winter of our burning season is people leave their dampers completely closed and start a fire. And that
Yeah.
causes a lot of smoke. So
Yeah.
one of the first things people want to do before they start that fire is make sure that your damper is open. That's probably one of the best ways to mitigate that.
Yeah, because if it's shut, the smoke has no other choice to go but out into the open room.
Mm-hmm.
I know even like where I'm at, it has a little fireplace, but it also has central heating. And I've noticed that if I'm trying to start a fire or got a little fire going, and the central heating kicks on, if I don't have a certain door shut, it's going to suck air out of that chimney because it's got to have that fresh air intake to work properly. And so if where the room that the furnace is in, if that door is open, there's enough pressure being sucked in, it'll actually draw smoke into the house. So make sure you understand how your central heating works and where that fresh air intake is coming from, and that it's not trying to draw it out of your chimney, because that can bring smoke back into the house as well. And by all means, if you're unsure, we'd much rather people get out, call 911, let us come check things, make sure that, because if your house is filling with smoke, something's not right. And we would rather people get out and be safe and us come check it, because now they on the truck they're going to have all the air packs and that they can go in there, they can safely be in that environment to be able to see what the problem is. It could be, like you said, something very simple as just opening a damper. Have we been to those? Absolutely. But we want our community to stay safe.
Now, being November and being Thanksgiving, we definitely want to touch on turkeys and fryers. And I have actually a friend, very close friend, who lost her entire house because they fried a turkey too close to the house. They didn't do the frozen turkey. They just had it sitting next to the house, and they left it, and they went inside. And I think actually they went to the grocery store to pick something up and came out, and the house was fully involved. So any advice on frying turkeys?
Well, actually, we did some research before coming in just to make sure we had some major bullet points. And according to the U.S. Fire Administration, there was a couple of keys. We'll pull that up real quick. So, like you said, first of all, making sure you have a safe distance from the house. And of course, away from other combustibles, and a nice clear open space with no pine needles or other wood piles, or
just like a campfire.
Definitely not on your porch, that kind of thing.
So a wood deck, I can't put it on that.
No, I wouldn't put it on your wood deck. Not even your Trex deck. Also, never use the turkey fryers in a garage or like we said, on the wooden deck. Make sure that the fryers are used on a flat surface to reduce accidental spills. Those things are tall and can be unstable, so you want to make sure you have a stable platform.
It's a lot of hot oil too.
Yeah. Make sure you don't overfill it. You have to take into consideration the volume that the turkey will take up. Okay. It is the hot oil that can spill over and catch on fire from the burner. Jeez. That can be obviously the most dangerous and flammable part of it. So make sure you're compensating for the space, only filling it up to the suggested level prior to putting your turkey in there.
And I think they even have, according to the weight of the turkey, that you have your different levels, right?
Right.
So which accounts for that volume thing. And like you said, frozen turkeys.
Right.
Because now you're going to have that reaction of the moisture coming off, and you're going to get splatters, and now you vaporize that oil, which can get down to that burner and catch on fire too. So.
Thawing the turkey out first. I think the recommendation was for every 5 pounds, 24 hours for every 5 pound turkey.
Oh wow!
So you're looking at a 20-pound turkey. 4 days worth of thawing is going to be necessary for that turkey.
Jeez.
And I think that's in the fridge though, right? Because you don't want to leave it out in the open air, because then it starts getting.
Yeah, just make sure you thaw it.
I guess for us guys that maybe don't read instruction, I guess we have to actually break down and read the instructions.
Yeah, I think that goes without saying. Definitely read the instructions first. I know most of us probably think, let's go. No, but read the instructions. And also, probably one of the most important things is if there is an incident, make sure you have a fire extinguisher close by and you know how to use that.
That's a good point.
Following the PASS model, pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep to put out that fire.
And use the entire extinguisher. You
Yes.
can't use half of it and put it back.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Or throw the extinguisher at the fire. Yeah, that's not a good idea either.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming on the show today and getting this information out to everybody. It's definitely useful and very helpful. And again, thanks.
And we
Awesome.
appreciate
All right, we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching Safe and Sound, and we will see you next month.
This episode of Safe and Sound was sponsored by Ladies Day, LLC.